I think you're plenty funny.
I play funny on podcasts.
Is that kind of like staying in a Holiday Inn Express?
It it is, except the beds aren't as comfortable here.
Well, okay, I'm interested. So let's talk about that, because I have been to some really nice hotels that have fairly comfortable beds.
Yep.
And I doubt they spent as little on their mattresses as I spent on mine, but I still find my mattress and my bed more comfortable than anywhere else in the world. I get the best sleep when I'm at home, and I don't know if it's the bed or if it's just because I'm home.
Well, home with your family. I mean, that certainly has something to do with it.
I sleep a lot less.
I don't want to know why. It's not a sexual thing, is it?
Yeah. Well, so two weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, when I told you my daughter had stayed home, I forgot to mention that the first day, which was the Thursday, because they had canceled school for illness.
Yeah.
The very first day, my daughter was up at 5:30 in the morning.
Ooh.
I heard her walking down the stairs. I'm like, why 5:30 in the morning? I don't understand it. And on a school day, it'd be like pulling teeth to get her up before 6:45.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean it when I say yes, my bed is very, very comfortable, but I really don't sleep very much more when I'm home.
Do you have what do you use for pillows? What kind of pillows do you sleep on at home?
Bamboo.
Shut up.
It's hard to shut up on a podcast.
Well, no, if there's just dead silence, people will say, well, that was a short podcast.
Well, they just think that it's par for the course for us. We probably messed something up on the audio.
John said, shut up, and he did. And that was the end of it.
Well, I listened to my elders.
Yeah, people will say, whatever. People will say, that was my favorite episode of all.
What kind of pillows do you use, John?
Because I watch TV in the middle of the night, it's My Pillows.
Oh, the Minnesota guy.
Your Minnesota boy.
Yeah, see, everything good was invented in Minnesota.
Well, whatever. Apparently not, because you have bamboo pillows.
I think they're Minnesota. Bamboo's like grass; it grows everywhere.
Yeah, Minnesota especially. I know it's world famous for their bamboo production.
Yep, mm-hmm.
True.
That's 100% reality right there. No, I saw them on Amazon and I ordered those particular ones, and they're very comfortable. I like them because they actually don't go flat. It's not necessarily the bamboo brand that I'm drawn to. It's just the fact that I don't like my pillow to go flat or to bend. I like it to be poofy, but not too poofy. It's just right. Okay,
you're kind of doing a little Goldilocks on me here.
Yeah, that's my new name, Goldie Nick. Which is also right now, speaking of Goldie,
yes.
I'm actually wearing a University of Minnesota sweatshirt with Goldie on it.
Sorry about that. Did you not have any other?
For those of you who don't know, Goldie is the Golden Gopher for the University of Minnesota. Goldie the Golden Gopher.
All your Badger stuff is in the wash?
What Badger stuff?
The stuff you wish you were wearing.
Oh, right. I told you I liked Green Bay. I didn't say I liked the Badgers.
Well, I mean, you can wear one on top of the other.
I could, but if I was going to do that, it would be USC.
Yeah, it probably would.
Yeah.
Because you're a USC boy.
I am a USC boy.
Yeah.
SC, fight on, brother. All right.
So you're like, you hop around to colleges like some sort of a
I just hop around to colleges that'll accept me.
I'm sure several will accept you.
Sure. If I pay them enough. And trust me, I paid USC plenty.
I was going to say, that's awesome. Hold on, I have to come up with a simile. You hop around to colleges like a college hopper. I hate when I can't come up with. I need Dennis Miller. Have you heard?
You do need Dennis. We need Dennis Miller on the podcast.
Oh my God.
We might get a lot of listeners if that were to happen.
He probably has his own, like 10 of them.
I hop around to colleges like Donald Trump's hairpiece, goes over his head. I don't know.
Wow. It's not a hairpiece. It's his real hair.
It's his real hair. It's a comb
Right.
over.
Right.
Aren't you glad I don't do a comb over?
I've been trying to talk you into it.
I just don't think my hair would grow that long. It would be annoying. Well, anyway, on to the subject at hand. I guess it's a subject at hand, even though I haven't mentioned it, so there isn't really a hand.
Wow. Or a subject for that matter.
There, I'm giving you a subject. Is there ever really a subject? I do have a question for you, because you fly a lot, right?
I do.
Have you been flight shamed yet?
No. Now, but let me qualify this, because I follow an Instagram account called Passenger Shaming, I believe it is. So that's different. I know what you're talking about, but passenger shaming is actually pretty entertaining when they post pictures of ridiculous things that people do on planes.
Like,
and, oh my gosh, like one example is one I actually lived through, was a lady painting her nails on the plane.
Oh no. Was it like the full on, you can smell the nail polish?
Oh my gosh, it was terrible.
Oh, yuck.
I know. But these that they post are usually even worse. The one I saw today was a guy who, between the seat and the window of the passenger in front of him, he took a picture of a girl who was doing some influencer video from the passenger seat of a plane, and he can see her phone with her picture on
it. So when you see these pictures, where do you see these pictures? Do you follow someone somewhere, or
is it Instagram? I think it's at Passenger Shaming, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, all right. You can probably do at Passenger Shaming, or maybe even hashtag Passenger Shaming, and follow that feed, because you can do that on Instagram now. You can follow hashtags.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Yep.
Or did I? Because I may.
Let's just say you did.
I did.
You forgot.
Of course I did. No, of course I did.
You are a digital marketing professional.
Edit me being an idiot out, would you please?
Absolutely. I'll get right on that.
Yeah, we're only
I'm writing this down right now.
We're only going to have 5 minutes of the
7 minutes. Edit out John being an idiot. Okay, there we go.
Whatever. I know you're not doing that. And truly, if you did that,
do I ever edit anything out?
If you did that all the time, we'd only have 5 minutes of the show left.
That's so true. That is so true. I pick and choose what I edit out, and I choose not to edit much out.
Yeah, so the Lord knows. So tell us about what flight shaming is, because that's
flight shaming. So, and I keep forgetting her name, and I even wrote it down somewhere and didn't bring it up with me when I came up here. The Thornburg, or what is her name?
Thunberg.
Say it one more time. Thunberg.
Thunberg.
All right.
Thun, not M.
That's what I said. Thunberg.
Yeah,
it's okay. I'm saying it right. It's just you can't hear me.
No,
you're deaf. It's your age.
You're mush mouth.
I could be mush mouth.
Did you just have a bunch of sweet potatoes or something?
No, but I did have a whole bunch of coffee. Does that count?
Like it.
Anyway, okay. Greta.
Yes.
We'll just call her Greta.
Person.
Yeah, we love Greta. Greta has now started a campaign, I guess, and I have not looked into it. So if I'm incorrect, please correct me, folks, on any one of our social media networks, including Twitter, who I'm still trying to get people to engage me. I know, Aaron, you sent me a message and I didn't respond right away. I apologize. I've apologized like 6 times to her, but she keeps bringing it up. So I am recognizing that, yes, I messed up there and I didn't respond after you actually did what I asked people to do. But I promise everyone else, if you start tweeting us or DMing me or tweeting at us, I will try to respond. Anyway, that being said, I have notifications turned on, so I see them now. Greta has started this campaign about flight shaming because we have several million flights that happen daily in this world. And because jets use jet fuel, they're pumping a whole bunch of carbon monoxide or dioxide. I never get those straight.
Well, it's monoxide. That's
okay. Monoxide.
As much as crazy people want you to believe that carbon dioxide, the stuff we breathe out, is a pollutant, it's not.
It's not. Anyway, monoxide. They pump a ton of carbon monoxide into the air. So it obviously adds up very, very quickly because most jets will burn about 400 gallons of fuel an hour, which is a lot of fuel. Don't get me wrong. So she started this campaign to flight shame everybody. So I was watching this Vox special, Vox on YouTube, and they were talking about the whole point of it was, should we fly? And Vox, to me, I enjoy Vox. I listen to a lot of Vox podcasts, and I like the YouTube channel. It's very interesting. But as everyone knows, I'm very centrist when it comes to my political standing. We talked about that in a past episode. So I like to hear both sides, and I'm very interested in this. So I was like, okay, we travel a lot. I want to see what they're saying. If people are now going to be flight shaming us more often, or are we okay to fly in this new world? And strangely enough, so they started their typical, this is how bad it is, and this is why it's bad, and this is why we shouldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. But then they came to the end of it, and they said, we do still need to fly. There's no way around it because we still need to travel. We still need to get places. We still need to conduct business. And there is no viable way to fly or to travel long distances, like across oceans, in a short period of time that we can not pollute the air. Does that make sense? Like if they showed battery, because there is a battery operated small plane now. You can get just like a Tesla or something like that, but it's a small airplane.
Yeah, Tesla rolls to a stop when it runs out of battery power.
Out of battery juice, and so does the airplane after 90 minutes.
Yeah, it rolls to a stop if it rolls. Otherwise, it rolls to a crash.
It's not going to roll to a crash, but it might crash and then roll.
Wow.
Yeah, I got dark there. Anyway, it only flies for 90 minutes and it takes a few hours to charge, but it's a small 2-seater airplane. It's really cute. I actually would fly one. It's kind of neat. But if you were to translate that into an airliner, the battery itself to operate an airliner for even a 2-hour flight would be bigger than the airplane itself.
Yeah, so it's never going to happen.
So it's never going to happen until we come up with much smaller batteries. So looking at that, there's no way we can't fly. But that hasn't stopped Greta on flight shaming people. So that's pretty much all I had on that, except the one interesting thing that I saw that it helps my personal feeling about flying. Because when I fly, I hate layovers. And they said the best way to not pollute the air as much is to make sure that you're flying direct. So I am calling out to my company, who I know is listening to us, saying, whenever we fly somewhere, I only want to fly direct. And let's make that happen. All right. So that was my whole point to that entire conversation, is I just want to fly direct more often.
Well, that was delightfully done.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just, because I can't not say anything about it.
Of course not. That's why I brought it up too. That was the other reason.
I'm sure it is. Well, I still, and this is where the whole greenhouse gas thing is just ridiculous. We need to stop breathing, and then the planet will last longer. Really, because that would do it.
Don't say that, because that could be the plan.
It's breath shaming. That's coming up next.
The breath shaming. Yep.
Yeah. Did you breathe? If you're breathing more than you should, and so stay off that treadmill, because then you tend to breathe more. That is polluting the environment. Do you know at Anytime Fitness that the air in there is just terribly noxious?
Oh, speaking of, before you go on, did you know that podcasts pollute the air?
Well, of course they do. It's us talking more than we need to.
Right. Well, it's less about polluting the air, more about polluting people's minds. But go on. I'm sorry.
So we're mind shaming.
Yes, we're mind shaming now.
I sort of like that.
We're changing the podcast name to Mind Shaming.
I kind of like that. You might want to write that down.
Okay, I'm doing it right now. Mind Shaming.
Mind Shaming. I love that. And to me, that's going to be the future.
Yeah, absolutely. The PoddiMouths podcast is brought to you by Mind Shaming, the new podcast by Johnny on the Spot in the nick of time.
Wow. We sound almost important.
Almost.
So I just sent you an email that has a picture of Greta in it, and Greta is obviously on a sailboat out on the
Yeah.
water someplace.
So yeah, and that was actually part of the shaming. She took a sailboat from Europe all the way over to New York.
That's wonderful.
And then the minute she got off the boat, she held up a sign about flight travel.
How awesome she is.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just wondering if they motored into the moorings, or if they actually just
They
used
actually
the
did
sail. Yeah, I think that's BS.
No, they actually had sails up the whole time. I watched the video as it came in.
That's not possible.
It is possible.
No,
it's not probable, but it is possible.
No,
People used to do it all the time.
It's not true either.
People used to do it all the time.
Things were a little different all the time years ago when they did that. But the motoring is the way, and this is obviously a boat that is not from the 15th century.
No, it's a racing boat.
It actually does have a motor on it.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it could be an electric motor. They do make those for sailboats.
Yeah. Well, I just love when when certain entities like to use kids to make their point, because they think we'll actually listen. Wow.
So do you think that Greta is being used, or do you think she actually does well, I'm sure she does, even if she is being used, but do you think it's some other organization that picked her out of a crowd and is pushing the agenda that way, or do you think she's pushing the agenda?
Let me answer the question with a question. Do you think she paid for the sailboat ride across the ocean?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think 13-year-olds have, several unlimited $100,000 to drop on a sailboat.
Unlimited funds. As is my rule for almost everything, follow the money.
Follow the money.
If you want to know if something is legit or not, follow the money. That's all you have to do. And it will tell you.
Very true.
Yeah, it is. Okay, enough of that. But I think it was funny and worthy of talking about, because flight shaming and passenger shaming are both pretty interesting too.
They are interesting.
I want to bring something up with you, though.
Okay.
And that is and this is a deep topic that you and I could talk about a lot just because of our professional lives, but how you had mentioned this the other day, how the car business is changing.
Yep.
And I'm going to put this in context of you actually, and I don't know if I can say this out loud because Jennifer might be listening, we're kind of looking for another Jeep potentially.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, there's not much to talk about. I was at one of our dealers and they had, so we discussed with Mike when he was a guest on our podcast that I'm not a big fan of the JKs, which is the last model of the Jeep, but I am a big fan of the new model that's out right now. But they are so freaking expensive.
Yeah.
So I was reading an article somewhere. It might have been Automotive News. It might have been even the New York Times. But they had mentioned that the new Gladiator was there were some places that were giving up to $7,000 off, and I thought that was an incredible amount of money to take off of one of those. Even though I don't really want a Gladiator, after seeing them in person, I don't think they're as attractive as I thought they originally would be. But for $7,000 off, I might consider it, right?
I started. Let me just interject.
Yeah.
I saw $9,000 off.
$9,000. I want that article.
Yep.
So I was seriously considering looking at a Gladiator, but of course they're still very expensive. But every time I looked at it, I was starting to lean back over to the Wrangler. So I was looking at some Wranglers, and long story short, I was on this dealer's lot to work with them, and I was waiting for our meeting to start. So I was just walking the lot because we drive a lot and I want to get some exercise and I want to get some steps in. I need to move around. And they had 3 used 2019 Wranglers on the lot. So I, of course, gravitated to those, and I was looking at them, and I went in and I started talking to the dealer saying, hey, price these out. Tell me what you give it to me for, and what, because of course we're all monthly payment wise, especially when it comes to used cars. So I was shocked to look They had really good prices, and I looked in, I'm not gonna mention the name of this third-party app, but it's used by most dealers to price their vehicles.
Uh-huh.
So we were in there, and we were looking at market costs and things like that. So they were very competitive in the price that they put on these Jeeps, these 2019 used Jeeps with
Mhm.
I think the least at least a number of miles on one of them was 11,000 miles.
That's not bad,
Um,
though.
it was not bad at all,
No.
but competitively priced. So then I went to a Jeep dealer down the road and looked at new ones with the discounts. And there was only like a $2,000 difference.
Hmm.
So I'm looking at, do I want a Jeep with 11,000, 12,000, 15,000 miles on it
Mhm.
for, let's just say in this case $40,000? Or do I want to spend $40,000, $42,000 on a brand new Jeep with 0 miles on it that I could possibly lease and have a lower payment? So that's pretty much where I am right now. I'm trying to
Mhm.
decide which direction I want to go because they are so expensive. But
I
most cars
just
are.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads into the conversation that you and I have had offline about just how expensive cars are getting, and and how the manufacturers are moving away from leasing again. And I don't understand it, especially with the prices going up the way they are.
Yeah, I don't, well, okay, so the Gladiator is ugly, I'm sorry.
It
If
is.
you're a Jeep
It's terribly ugly.
aficionado, it is. I don't know, and I'm not sure what they could have done. I mean, I looked at it, we drove by one the other day, and I looked at it, and it wasn't that bad, but I don't, I'm not sure what they could have done to make it better, other than
Well,
keep it as a regular Jeep.
someone told me, and it might have been you, someone told me that it just really depends on the color. Like if you get a blue one, it's not that great, or a white one, they just don't look very good. But if you go with a dark gray or a red, and then you have the big tires on there and you make it beefy, then it
Yeah,
looks good. And I agree with them. If you're very deliberate about what you put on the Jeep, it or not the Jeeps, well, it is a Jeep, but the
yeah,
Gladiator, it
yeah.
does look much better. So it's ripe for accessories.
Well, they all are. I mean, let's face it. They're if you buy anyone, they all want bigger wheels and tires, and I think they all look great with that stuff on, or look better with that stuff on than they do as a stock.
Right.
My
I,
opinion.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. But going back to what we were saying about the industry changing as a
Yep.
whole, what are you seeing out there? Because you and I, we basically see a lot of the same things, but there are a few things that you probably dig into a little bit more in your job than I do with mine when it comes to the changing landscape. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, one is that I think dealers are paying more attention now um, certainly to ROI on what they spend in advertising, because they can with digital marketing, and the average dealer spends about 55% of their ad budget, according to NADA, National Auto Dealers Association, for advertising. 55% is digital. And so they expect to know what that spend is doing for them, where 20 years ago, maybe it was 10% for dealers, maybe 5% for some, and they had no idea what their traditional media spend was doing. So that's one thing, is they're paying more attention from a business perspective to where their money is going. I think that's smart. But the sales process is one thing that's changed. I've got a friend who works at a Honda store, and I've known him for 40 some years. He's been in the car business that long. And he was selling a friend of mine a vehicle. And when he presented the price, it was a lease. When he presented lease figures, he just set it on his desk and walked away. He doesn't even close people anymore. And this was a new car, of course, because it was a
Yeah.
lease. He just sat down, and these are the payments: 1, 2, 3, different terms, different money down. Pardon me. And he just walked away. He said, "I'll be right back." And he said, "That's how I close now." He doesn't even, okay, just okay it right down here. He doesn't even ask him. He just says here it is. Now, that's a Honda store, and Honda has a good reputation for being, good with repeat customers and things like that. I'm not sure it would vary too much if it were a Nissan store or another brand, but I just found that to be particularly interesting. What are your thoughts?
I think we have a long way to go. I do see changes. I've seen instances of how things like that change, but it's going to be a culture shift. And I don't think the culture in a lot of these dealers are ready for that to happen. I don't even think, quite honestly, and please, our OEM friends, plug your ears. I don't think OEMs are ready for that change to happen yet. But it's going to come, and it's going to come quickly. I still believe, and more and more people are coming to my side of the fence, but I've been saying it for a couple of years now. Carvana is game changing. Carvana is going to dictate where Carvana and companies like it are going to dictate how the car business is going to start selling to customers sooner than later.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because that's a path we should go down. First of all, and I want to make it clear to everyone, Nick puts the dick in dictate. So I'm not sure that
I'm not going to argue that.
Do it. No. Yeah. Carvana to me is an enigma on many levels. First of all, they're not profitable.
Stop right there. Hold on.
No, I'm going to continue.
No. Hold on.
Amazon was not profitable for a long time either.
So what was not?
Amazon was not
okay.
Profitable for many years as well. So
let me ask you this though: profitable to whom? Because I have stock in Carvana.
Okay.
And it's making me a lot of money.
That's great. And so would Tesla. People would probably say the same thing, especially since they were at a high of almost $900, $800 some dollars a share. Like yeah. And they would say, well, yeah, Tesla's great. And then it dropped 22% in one day.
It happens though.
It does happen. There's no question about it.
And the only reason they're not profitable, I'm going to argue this one. The only reason Carvana is not profitable right now is because they're still in a growth mode. They're building. They're still building buildings, and you're not going to be profitable if you're in a growth mode.
I would say that is probably what they would tell their shareholders. Sure. Yeah.
That's just business. I think it's just business. So I will say that Carvana has dropped. I'm looking at the stock right now. Carvana has dropped a little bit from its high, but it's still making me very, very happy.
So let me continue. I understand, and that's good. I want you to be happy. And Carvana doesn't give a crap if you're happy. However, what I will say is you're right. It's a game-changing element of the way they market to people. I like what they do. I think the vending machines are stupid, but it's nothing more than a branding.
That's a gimmick
thing, of course, and that's fine. So a dealer friend of mine also sees that Carvana is potentially a game changer. And so he owns several rooftops. And so he said, well, the best way to find out how they do it is to buy a car from Carvana. And he did.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. And strangely enough, I've had dealership friends that have done that as well.
Yep.
And the one thing they said, they say it very quietly. They closed the door and they said, it was incredible.
Okay, I haven't heard that. I think that's,
really
no.
Every time I've said, they said it was incredible.
Okay,
it was exactly what I expected.
That's good, and I'm sure that's how those people will shop for vehicles from now on, or they will use that to learn how to be better at what they do.
Right.
So there are a lot of things that are going to come into play. There, at some point, if they start becoming too big, you're going to see some of the same backlash that Tesla has gotten in states. That's one prediction I have.
Okay, well, let's before you move on to the next prediction, let's talk about that, because where is the backlash coming from in reality? And I want to go back to what you said about your dealer. Yeah, it's coming from dealers.
Yeah,
your dealer may not have had as good as of an experience with Carvana, and I'm just making assumptions right now. Probably because the expectation was different. It's kind of like when a customer comes into a dealership, we talk to them as if they have spent every day in the car business like we have. We don't realize that they do this once every 3 years, 3 to
I
5 years.
think that's not a correct generalization. I think
Not a
there are
correct
some
general.
people who might, but I would never talk to someone like that.
Well, you wouldn't, but
Well,
that's why we do the job we do, is to train people not to do that.
true.
But very well that anyone walking into a dealership, they're gonna, a lot of them are gonna have that experience. What are you
Well,
talking about?
they've
I
done the
don't understand what you're
research.
saying.
They've done the
They've been,
research,
oh
and a
yeah,
lot of times people. I mean, this is a sales thing where people will say, "Well, sometimes our customers know more than we do," and
yes,
and here's what I would say: whose fault is that?
exactly,
Well,
yes.
seriously,
No,
are you a
and I have
professional in
said
this
that in the
business or
store
are you
before.
not? You know, yeah.
Yep,
So it's that's like accepting that people are going to know more about your products, and that's ridiculous. That means you're just not spending enough time getting to know your products, in my humble
agreed.
opinion. So let me finish with the story because
Okay,
I will surprise you a little. It wasn't a bad experience. It was. He said it was fine. It was easy. They had a whole bunch of vehicles to choose from, and that to me is the biggest attraction. That I don't care about it takes 2 days or a week to get the car. I don't care about that. I want to know that I have a big selection. And so that was helpful. And I actually shopped them before I bought my last car. Anyway, he said that they deliver the car in a timely fashion as promised. And the paperwork was a pain in the butt, just like taking delivery at a dealership. It was not click online and you never have anything to sign. That's not how it works, or at least didn't in this particular state. But he said, got in the car and walked around it and it was fine, and then opened the door and it smelled like smoke,
okay,
just like cars at dealerships
right,
sometimes do. And so it's important, I think, to manage expectations, as you alluded to, that it's still a used car.
right,
And it's not perfect. It does not go through some sort of a magical, uh, uh, renovation so that it suddenly is a new car with a few miles on it. It's different than that.
right.
And so I think once those expectations are managed, it becomes a little less attractive because honestly, it's shiny and it's kind of cool, but it's still a used car when you're done.
Oh, absolutely. No, I don't disagree with you whatsoever. I think though it's just a good example of, like we started the conversation with, where we are going.
Sure.
And it's again, sooner than later, we're going to start selling new cars online. We already are technically in some instances, depending on the make and depending on the ability for a dealership to do it.
Sure.
Going back really quickly to why Carvana has vending machines, we say it all the time, and this is something that we talk to dealers about to try to calm their fears when it comes to selling online. People still want to touch and feel cars. That's not going to go away. People still want to get their cars serviced. I don't think dealerships are going to go away. Tesla found that out very quickly when they started trying to close some of theirs.
Sure.
People still want dealerships. We just need to be able to deliver the cars the way the customer wants to buy. So for me, I would much rather buy something like a Carvana car, not necessarily Carvana, but buy a car and have it delivered. I don't need the dealership. But there are other people, my wife might be one of them, who would rather go to a dealership. And she said this, she would rather go to the dealership and sit in every car to make sure she knows what she wants.
Yep.
But that being said, there's another company out there, and we use it in the auto industry as an example of what needs to happen. And that company is Warby Parker.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have mentioned this before, but
Yep.
I'm gonna say it again. Warby Parker has brick and mortar stores, not necessarily to sell glasses in the store. They have stores so people can go try things on, see what kind of selection they have, actually touch and feel the product. And then
Eyeglasses he's talking about, if you're not familiar with
yep,
Warby
sorry,
Parker.
yes,
No,
glasses.
that's okay.
And then the customer can go home and order it online, or they can order it online right from there. That's
Yeah,
the whole idea.
I
And
would
that's
agree.
probably what we're going to have to look at from an auto industry is, and I think Tesla, and forgive me, I've never gone through the process of buying a Tesla because I can't afford it. But I think from what I've been told, Tesla is very similar in that regard. They have a showroom to kind of show your cars, or even European sales in some instances are like this. You go, you touch, you feel, and then you order the car you want.
Yeah, Audi has a process that they've attempted to put into place that kind of follows that sort of a mindset. Look, I think you're right. Here's why I hesitate though to jump all in with any one methodology, is because this has been predicted for 20 years, maybe 15.
Sure.
And these experts say, oh, you just wait, dealers are going to be out of business, and they've been predicting for 15 years, 20 years that
But
this
I
is
don't
going to
agree that
happen.
dealers are going to be out of business. That's where I
Well,
differ. I think
however,
dealers that
yeah, yeah,
adapt will stay in business.
I would agree, and there's no question about that. But I think, at least from my position, I think what happens is you get all these uh, people crying wolf, and they either A, don't understand the business, or B, don't understand the buyer. It's different when you buy a car than when you buy a pair of socks on Amazon. It's different, and for anyone to not see the difference, I mean, even just in the outcome, that people don't do it that way.
Well, okay,
Here's
so
Go ahead.
gonna have to kind of disagree with you a little bit on that. So
Go.
you're comparing socks to cars. I understand price wise, it's the same. It's not. It's something completely different. But I don't. Have you noticed when you're shopping online? And I do this a lot. If something is sent to you incorrectly, or if it's something you get and you don't like, Carvana does this. And this is something that dealerships will have to change, because we'll get into this in a second. But usually, when you drive over the curve or the curb, the car's yours, right? We've always said that, even though we've built in things that say we've got a couple of days, you can change your mind. We really discourage people from changing their mind when they buy a car, because it's just a lot more paperwork for us. But again, consumers are getting used to shopping a certain way. Carvana gives you 7 days to return the car if you don't like it. And it probably is still a hassle, but it's considered no hassle. You do the same thing with Amazon. I got batteries the other day for my camera, and they were the wrong batteries. So I just clicked a button and it returned it. They sent me a label, slapped it on there, and it went right back to Amazon,
Yep.
just like that. So again, it's just that we have to sell to the customer the way the customer wants to buy, not the other way around.
CarMax has done that for years, by the way, just FYI.
Oh, have they? See, I've only ever sold cars to CarMax. I've never purchased from CarMax.
Yep. They have a return policy. I know a lot of dealers that have a 1 week return policy.
That's
And
good. That's
and
new.
so it is no, it's not. Not for them.
For me, it's new.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's a marketing element that needs to get out there. But you're right. It's not widespread, or some dealers don't see the need for it. I think the ease of doing business the way people want to do business is great. Here's the fallacy that I see. You will find everywhere that people say 36, 37% is the latest number I've heard of people say that they would like to buy a vehicle online and go through that process. That's called a hand raiser survey. That's people who say, I would, this is what I would do. In reality, it's fewer than 3% that buy vehicles sight unseen and make a buying decision without coming into a store. It's a
Agreed. Now,
tiny percent.
let me play devil's advocate on that.
Sure.
Let me first ask, why is that?
Why
Do you
is
think
what?
why are so few customers actually doing it? And the reason I ask is because I look at it this way. Have we gone out of our way as a car industry to tell customers that they can? And if so, how?
Okay, that they can what?
Buy online.
Well, have we gone out of the way to do that? I think there's an impression that's out there. There are digital retailing tools that allow
Sure.
you to take it as far as you possibly can.
Absolutely. But how many customers do you know with taking Carvana out of the
Tiny percentage.
very tiny percentage, because we don't tell them they can? And that's something that I teach in the dealerships that have a digital retailing tool. Say, don't just let the customers find it and hope that they're going to use it. Use it in your sales process.
Sure.
If you're talking to a customer on the phone and they want to walk through payments, why not use the digital retailing tool to get them the information that they need, and then teach them how to use it, so they start teaching other people, so that it becomes part of the ethos. Once that happens, we're going to see that number of those supposed, that 36% say that they would. go from that 3% up to that 36%.
I would put it in a different realm. It's more like a why buy message. So when you go to any website, listeners, there has to be a reason for you to want to do business with them. For some, it's obvious. For Amazon, it's selection and
And
ease of
ease.
delivery
Yep.
and things like that. Yes, and returns and so on. But I don't think dealers give that message as clearly. In fact, the messages that you often hear from dealers, we've been in business 40 years. As a consumer, I really don't care.
Right.
I really don't care about that. I don't care if we love our customers. We're involved in the community. Those are not why buy messages anymore today. The why buy is the ease of doing business, the transparency with which we operate, and how it's going to be a great price and a great experience. Those are today's why buy messaging. And so that goes from a digital retailing tool where we'll take them as far as they want to go online to whatever. But the truth is, in your example, if somebody phones me at the dealership, I'm not going to send them back to the website. They phone me, they want more information or a reason to come in. So I'm going to first give them that. If my only other choice is, well, we're going to shop around, then I may turn them to the website. But the first thing I'm going to do is invite them to visit because they've kind of bridged the gap between digital and face-to-face at that point.
Right. Well, I was only using that as an example. I'm not condoning sending everybody back to the website. I'm just saying in certain instances, if you are having a specific conversation, there are tools that you can use. Use your website as a tool. That's my point.
Yep, it should be marketing to that. I totally agree with you, and I just wanted to laugh at you for a second. But it truly is all about how do I get that message out? If you want a nice, clean experience, and if you want to go all the way online, we offer that to you. The truth is, most people do not do that. They may take it partially online, get the information, the pricing, the payments that they need, but then they again, the vast majority of the time, will complete that transaction face to face.
Right. And I also think, and before we start wrapping this up, I also think that even the digital retailing tools that are out there, that some of them are very easy to use, but they still need a little bit more simplification when it comes to the consumer experience. I think that's something that we're definitely working towards. Everyone is. There isn't a company out there that isn't working towards that. But I think that will also be a factor in how many people actually complete the process online.
Yeah, I agree. And I will say this. So let me not diss Carvana because I loved the experience. They have awesome website pictures and vehicle details and stuff. It's a very nice experience. Again, though, it's the comprehension that it's still a used car when it's all said and done.
Right. Well, and I want to
a little bit challenging sometimes.
Right. And along those lines, I want to get back to you were talking about Amazon. We've been comparing that to Amazon, and pretty much everything we talk about when we're in dealerships is comparing the experience to Amazon, whether it be personalization or digital retailing or anything. We always compare it to this behemoth that's out there.
Yep.
And then we use Carvana in the same sentence and how they're selling cars. Here's my semi prediction, and I'm going to say before I make this prediction, I don't know how. I have no idea if it would ever work. But my prediction, especially with the $500 or $600 million that Amazon put into Rivian, which is an electric truck company, and then ordering several 100,000 units to use for delivery, Rivian trucks, Amazon is going to take whatever Carvana has built and turn that even upside down, and will be the first to truly sell a car online seamlessly, easily, and quickly. That's my prediction.
I don't know.
Prediction.
I would say that just on that real quickly, I would say that I think they're going to find out it's not as profitable as they think it is.
No, and that's probably why it hasn't happened yet, because they'll realize that. But I think when Rivian launches, I think that will be the catalyst right there.
We'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see. And it's fun to be in that position in the business where we kind of get a front row seat to that. One more thing real quickly about Amazon, another application, if I could. I went to a brick and mortar store the other day to buy, oddly enough, a specific brand and type of toothpaste.
Okay.
And I said, okay, so this stuff is cool. And I knew exactly what I wanted. And I walked into this brick and mortar, and it's a very nice department store. It's normally well stocked and everything. Long story short, they didn't have the toothpaste. I went home, got on my computer, went to Amazon, found it. I got it yesterday, delivered in, Prime and 24 hours or whatever.
Sure.
And that's just one example. And it's not that they, well, John, that's not fair to the brick and mortar because, maybe they were reordering it. No, that's where management is a problem. If you don't have the place properly stocked, you're not going to compete with somebody like Amazon who has everything stocked essentially.
Well, let's take it a step further. If that retailer was smart enough, and they may be, you might have purchased it from that retailer on Amazon.
I absolutely would have. Oh, I see what you're saying, online.
Yeah, they could be selling online, and I know retailers that are. So if I went in, for example, I went in and I bought this Columbia long sleeve T-shirt.
Yep.
And I went and I was just playing around, and of course my phone was listening to me, and all of a sudden that same Columbia T-shirt came up on Amazon.
Yep.
But then if you looked at the store, it was from the same store I purchased it from.
Yeah.
For the same price. So that's got to look at it that way too. So if you really want
to because fulfillment through Amazon starts at like $2.41. Per unit.
Yeah. So the store is probably losing money selling it on Amazon in that case, but yeah.
And so that's why either you stop, are you committed to brick and mortar or are you not? And if you're trying to play both ends of it, then you become a Warby Parker or whatever. Yeah. But if you're not, you got to take it seriously. Is it really going to be a brick and mortar store that you attract people to? And I would say just because this is a toothpaste that's sold everywhere, the chances that it were that retailer are slim to none.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm just using that as
no. I understand what you're saying, but it's a lost sale if they do not stock appropriately. And it was just there were areas where this toothpaste would have been, but they were empty.
Okay.
So that tells me that they, probably didn't stock appropriately.
If it were in Nashville, it would tell me that it snowed really heavily and people were locked in their houses, so they freaked out and bought everything out of the store.
We'd only be water and toilet paper. Water and toilet paper. Load up.
And bread. Don't forget bread.
Yeah, you need bread.
Anyway, folks, I know we actually talked about this a lot longer than we talk about a lot of things, which is it's fun, it's interesting, but we would love for you to join in on the conversation. Head up to PoddiMouths.com. And up there, you'll see links to all of our social media networks. Join in the conversation. Let us know what you think. Argue with us or agree with us. We don't care. We just want to hear from you.
We do.
You can also see or hear. Sorry, you can see it as it plays the little waveforms. But you can listen to all of our past podcasts on PoddiMouths.com as well. But there are also links there to your favorite podcast listening apps. Listen to them on your phone or on your computer, wherever you'd like. John, anything else you want to add in before we head out?
I hope our listeners are as entertained by you as I am.
Well, I hope so too. And if you are, and you want to help support our podcast, we're not asking for money, even though that would be nice.
We'll take money.
I mean, we'll talk about money here in a second, but if you don't want to donate money, you could help us out by asking, if you really like the podcast, asking at least one other person to listen. And we hope that they enjoy. And beyond that, if you are interested in some of the products that we are affiliated with, we have links to Buffy, which is a fantastic bedding service or a bedding store online, links to Knockaround sunglasses, and links to Buzzsprout and ShareASale, which are tools we use to publish this podcast. So if you're interested in that, you head up to the website as well. You'll see it under our affiliate links. And we hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope you learned something. And we'll catch you again next week.
See ya.